All right, so now we're gonna meal prep one of my favorite parts of the day, which is snack time. This really could be a dessert or a snack because we're using some candy. And if you love peanut butter, these peanut butter protein bars are gonna be your new favorite snack or treat. In fact, I have them in my freezer right now. I'm pretty sure I have them in the freezer all the time since I created this recipe. That's how much I love it. So for this recipe, you'll need 1 cup of oat flour, a 1/2 cup of protein powder or peanut flour, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 cup of sweetener, a 1/3 cup of applesauce, and 2/3 cup of peanut butter. So we're gonna start with some oat flour. This you can make right at home if you don't have oat flour or you've never even heard of it. You've heard of old-fashioned oats. You just blend them up in a blender until you get a flour. So that's what we have here. Then we have a 1/2 cup of protein powder or peanut flour. So peanut flour, there's a lot of different brands now, but essentially it's just peanut flavored powder that has high protein. And so it tastes just like peanut butter, and it's a little bit lower in calories and fat, and it's high in protein. So it's all around good for you, and it tastes delicious in these bars. But if you don't have that, you can use any kind of protein powder. And our sweetener, our applesauce, salt, and some peanut butter. That's how easy these bars come together. And one little tip when it comes to meal prepping snacks throughout the week, I don't make these on a weekend. So really, I just look for a little window in my week, and it's really not every week. It's maybe every other or every 3 weeks even, to make some snacks. If, let's say on a Friday afternoon, I have a little bit of extra downtime, and I don't have a lot of work going on, I'll just think, okay, I'm gonna use this time to meal prep some snacks. That way it doesn't cut into the time that I have to meal prep on my weekends, because usually that time is spent for making breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I'll just make a bunch of snacks and I'll just bake. I'll just get all my baking stuff and just have a really good time. I'll put on some worship music and I'll just get jamming and make like 3 or 4 batches of different kinds of protein snacks. And that really helps me in staying healthy, because if I have something sweet that's high in protein to snack on throughout the week, it always is going to turn out better than if I don't have something on hand. So what I tend to do is I put them in my freezer, any kind of bars or muffins or baked good that I make, I put them in my freezer. I pull them out, maybe I'll microwave them for like 30 seconds, and oftentimes that just melts the chocolate chips or the candy that's on it, and it really does taste like a decadent treat. Now, if I don't have those things on hand, what would I look for? I'd probably reach for my kid's candy stash or something else to kind of curb that sweet tooth and to have a snack throughout my day. So that's why I like to have something healthier on hand. And I find too that with bars and different kinds of snacks, it's great to have those for your kids as well, because the kids' snacks these days, the prepackaged ones, are so expensive. They're like at least $1 a bar. So if you're a mom out there, I know you hear me right now. So it's really good to have bars that you make yourself, much cheaper, much better ingredients on hand, so that when your kids are looking for a snack, you have something to offer them as well. My kids love these, they just eat them right up. I'm gonna add a little bit of water to this because it is looking a little dry. Okay, there we go. So I just get in here with my hands. I usually start stirring things with a spatula, and then I get in there with my hands and kind of bring it all together, just because that is the easiest kitchen tool that you got, is your hands. Okay, so this is coming together, and what you want it to look like is like a cookie dough. So then we are gonna pour that out onto the parchment paper. And if you don't have parchment paper, you can always pour it out onto a clean kitchen counter. I would just spray it with a little bit of cooking spray just so it doesn't stick to your counter. But what I like to do to kind of just make it a little bit cleaner and easier to clean up is take 2 pieces of parchment paper. One to put the actual dough down, and then one to put on top, and that way you can roll it out and you don't even need to clean your rolling pin after. So I'm just gonna kind of roll these out. We're gonna kind of make them into bars here. And a lot of times people ask me when it comes to meal prep, where do I start? If I'm totally overwhelmed, if everything you're saying to me, thinking ahead, is just not my thing, where would I begin? The first thing I would tell someone is start by just making dinners. You don't need to meal prep breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks all at once. Just think about maybe 2 or 3 dinners that you can think ahead. What would I make for dinner this week? Start there and then start to incorporate more and more meals as that becomes a second nature. And I promise you, it really does get easier the more that you do it. It almost becomes something that you really don't even need to write down or plan out. You just kind of think about it and you think, okay, this sounds like a good plan, and you just do it. So it really does become a habit over time. Okay, so now we poured our peanut butter candy, but you could also use chocolate chips on this, or peanut butter chips would also be delicious. But these are Reese's Pieces peanut butter bars, so we had to do the tried and true. You just want to kind of spread them out evenly. All right, so we're gonna just clean up the edges a little bit like this, and then we're gonna cut them into bars. Okay, and so these are perfect just as is. You can eat them right away, or you can store them in your fridge or freezer.